Hello, everyone. Welcome back to TwoLu'sCrew. We are making some more predictions on UFC 267 on October 30th, 2021. Again, free for those United States fans on the UFC side, but again, sorry, my Canadian fans. You're gonna have to muster up a little bit of dough to watch this one. I have no idea. I have no idea why I keep saying that. You know what it is? Us in the United States, we keep having to pay for these pay-per-views. And where is it? Like out in Australia, they get them for free. You know?
Yeah, I think
they get them for free all the time. And the U.S. Listen, we're some of the best fans on MMA, and we finally get one of these free pay-per-views. No, Brazil's good. Brazil, they have good fans. I mean, some European fans, the Irish people, they're really good fans. I mean, but I feel like us here in the United States, we're also solid.
Sounding a little Donald Trump, we're the greatest fans in the world.
Hey, you know, what can you do? We're some of the greatest fans in the world. But let's move forward. So we have this bout at 155. We're doing.
You're looking at probably a fight of a night.
Yeah,
this fight is something special, even the way it got put together.
At 155 pounds, we have both guys very similar in stature. So we have 6 feet versus 5'10", but reach is different. We have Hooker 5-inch reach advantage.
Obviously talking about Dan Hooker, the Hangman, versus Islam Makhachev, Khabib's protege.
Yeah, I mean, he looks very good. He's like a Khabib
2.0.
They might call him a 2.0, like Chimaev too. He might also be a 2.0 as well. I mean, they still call him that, even though they might not be working together. But he's like
a middleweight Khabib.
He speaks like him, you know. We have Hooker fighting out of New Zealand versus a Russian. I would say wrestler, but you know, this guy mixes it up. He fights well on the feet. He pressures fighters. He does a lot of good things in the octagon. We have Hooker fighting out of City Kickboxing, and
obviously of Israel Stylebenders fame.
Mm-hmm.
Same camp.
Makhachev, even though here on Tapology page it shows only 2 gyms, this guy trains in several gyms. You know,
obviously Khabib's camp. You know, he gets a lot of training with those guys.
Khabib's camp. Daniel Cormier also does a lot of work with those guys over on that side of the world, especially when they're over in the, in the stateside over here in the United States. Now, one thing that was surprising to us, where Makhachev is a huge favorite. Here on the Tapology page, we have him on a minus 650 versus on the Hooker side plus 440. Now, we know that Hooker has had a couple losses in his last 5 coming on in, but very close fights. I personally had him losing against Paul Felder. I had Felder winning that fight, honestly. But a lot of people had him winning against Dustin Poirier. It was a unanimous decision. Against Michael Chandler, you know, we already know how Michael Chandler broke into the UFC on that one. But it's been such entertaining fights in his last, I would say, like 9 fights. It's been crazy how entertaining this man has been. What can you say about Dan Hooker?
Well, Dan Hooker is definitely one of those exciting vets in the UFC. I mean, he fights and doesn't really have boring fights. Really clean striker. And, I mean, he even got in a little bit of wrestling training with his last fight against Nasserat. Everybody really had that as pretty much a stand-up war. And, Hooker decided, you know what? I'm a wrestler now. So, he took the unanimous decision win with that one. But, so as far as this fight goes, with Islam Makhachev, he hasn't really faced, really top competition yet. It's kind of, what have you done for me lately? And granted, as dominant victories as he's had, just really he hasn't really we haven't really seen him against top competition. So I do think that this bout is gonna be his toughest fight. And I gotta say I like Hooker as an underdog. I like Hooker as an underdog. I think it's gonna be a tough day in the office for Islam Makhachev.
Listen, we've seen Armin. I don't even know how to pronounce his last name. Rukian. Listen, that guy could fight, and this guy's striking. He's clean. I mean, he has all these UFC fighters tweeting where the UFC production just puts up all the tweets, and Armin has a lot of fans. Makhachev, he did his thing. He didn't finish him, but he did his thing against Armin.
Neutralizing everything.
Drew Dober has been an underdog in like almost all of his last fights. This man has been creating some good content for the UFC production. This man on YouTube, like you could go see his fights. He is incredible. Makhachev finishes him. Thiago Moises.
I mean, it was kind of a tough outing for Makhachev a little bit. He almost got caught in that guillotine, if you remember, if you watched the Drew Dober fight. He did. He almost got caught in that guillotine, but then he like flipped on over. He like turned and somersaulted. He did everything he needed to do to get out of it, and then got the finish. Thiago Moises, we already know he has been around for a while, not only on the professional UFC scene, but the regional scene. He's been around for a long time, and I mean, I am on the completely opposite side of the spectrum on this one, because even though on the 5-on-in we have Hooker winning 1, 2, 3 of the last 5, I don't even count the Felder win as a win. I know it's a win on paper.
I mean, a lot of people might disagree with me. A lot of people in the comments section.
But you gotta look at Hooker's resume alone.
Yes, I mean
he has an impressive resume.
Because
you know what, he lost that Dustin Poirier fight, but damn, it was a close fight.
Yeah.
It was a very back and forth fight, and now you got Dustin Poirier challenging for the title for a second time. So you know what, you got to give stock into. I mean, since his move to 155, he's looked pretty good.
He has.
His last bad loss was Edson Barboza. And that was a real back and forth fight. But like I said, you gotta look at Hooker's resume. He's fought pretty much the who's who in the UFC. He's had a lot of good fights. He's come in on underdogs in some fights, and he's silenced the masses, if you will. So that's why I think if you're trying to make some money, you have to take Hooker.
I mean, he does have a puncher's chance. I completely agree.
A puncher's chance. He's a savvy vet, and I do think this is gonna be Makhachev's toughest challenge if he can get it done. But like I said, I'm going with the under on this one. I'm picking Hooker.
I can see Makhachev dropping down low, shooting the takedown, and really causing a lot of trouble. Now, I do know that earlier you had stated Nasrat, is known for being able to muck it up and switch it up, but he's just not on Makhachev's level. And we haven't stated, both of these men came in having visa issues. Nasrat had just lost a family member. I think it was his mother, right? His mom. Yeah. We could already envision how difficult that process could be, and if that fight was ran back, it might play out the same exact way, but we just don't know. And I don't want to put too much stock into the last, 4 or 5 fights of Hooker. I just can't. For some reason, I see something different in Islam Makhachev. This guy is an absolute animal, and I'm there with the odds makers. I see Makhachev taking him down, beating him out on the feet, controlling the octagon, controlling the pace, just completely neutralizing everything that Dan Hooker is about. And one thing is that Hooker, for some reason, people don't really try to take him down, and when they do, it's not as often as what Makhachev does to his opponents and how he fights. This guy just, for some reason, decides what to do, when to do it. I'm going with the favorite, Islam Makhachev. You're going with Dan Hooker. You know, this is definitely going to be...
It's an interesting fight. This is definitely one you want to circle, and it's definitely the one, you know, you could throw money on, because you know what, the odds makers have Hooker as a big underdog, but you know what, he's come out before and you pulled the upset. I think Hooker gets it done, just being that savvy vet. You know, he's been in the lights longer, and like I said, I think it's going to be a tough day in the office for Islam Makhachev.
So Lou has it for Dan Hooker.
Yep.
I have it for Islam Makhachev. I mean, we'll see what happens. And this has been TwoLu'sCrew. Until next time, guys.
Laters.